Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Degenerates podcast. I am your host, Tony.
And I'm Mike, I think. Yeah.
And this is lucky number 13. This is the 13th episode.
Wow.
Wow.
It's like we've been doing this for 13 weeks. My God.
More like 12.
Sure.
Well, if you count, because we did episode 1 and we've done one every weekend. But
Yeah,
the first two were done in the first week, because...
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's more like 12.
Yeah, but we'll just call it 13. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So, you brought in a pretty good topic. We got a good show.
No, I was thinking we could do your topic first.
My topic? But we always do your topic first.
Yeah, but why don't we mix it up?
Okay. I'll do my topic. So, I'm bringing in a segment. This is the first segment on our show. Other than, I guess, book club, but those are full episodes. This is the first little segment. And do you want to know what it's called?
What?
It's called the Degenerates podcast, Degenerate podcast review.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
And in this, it's a segment. It's in it. I'm gonna do a review. I'm gonna do more of these, but we're gonna review every podcast that has the name Degenerates podcast or any sort of any name that's similar to our name, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Oh, okay. We aren't original, I guess.
Yeah.
Dang it. I guess that makes sense.
For the first ever segment of the Degenerates podcast, Degenerate podcast review, we are going to review Degenerate podcast. That's what it's called. It's called Degenerate podcast. It started 4 weeks ago. They're on episode 4 now. And I went into it thinking that it was gonna be not good, but it's like these 3 girls, and they get really drunk, and they just act normal, like normal drunk girls. And I didn't think I'd like it. I thought I'd make fun of it a lot, but actually I laughed a lot. I give that podcast a 10 out of 10.
So, what do they do? They just drink and talk?
Oh, yeah, in the first episode, they're drinking Hennessy in the first episode. Each episode has a different alcohol. That's like the theme. And at the beginning of the first one, they explain themselves and stuff, and they talk for 10-15 minutes just explaining themselves, and they can't get to the next thing, but that's pretty normal. And especially since they're drinking. And then for the rest of the time, they just told stories about fuckboys that they knew. And I laughed a couple of times, which I was not expecting to do. So you know what, it was pretty good. It's And yeah, they were talking. I have a whole bunch of notes here because I was sitting down. I wrote down, yeah, he's talking, they're talking about, fuckboys and stuff, and then suddenly they bring out a hammer, and they're smacking it on the table, and I didn't even know where the hammer even came from, or why they had a hammer, and I was like, what the fuck is that hammer? And, yeah, it was just, it's just like normal drunk girls, though. If you've ever been to a party, if you don't
like Stacy's,
not yeah, I guess, yeah, the Stacy's. But yeah, I don't know. They say all the time they don't really give a fuck. They say that in their podcast, so I don't know. They're degenerates. That's why they call it the Degenerate Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They said that in the first
there's
episode.
only one degenerate.
In the
only
first
one
episode.
of them is degenerate, and you have to guess.
Yeah. In the first episode, they actually brought up the definition of degenerate, and they talked about how they thought really hard about what they were going to name it, and that's a pretty cool contrast to ours because I didn't put any thought into that name. It was the first thing that came into my head.
Yeah, I think if you actually put thought into the podcast, I would think that you would come up with a better name than the Degenerate Podcast.
Yeah. Well, I didn't expect... It wasn't until, like, episode 5 that I started looking through. I looked up the Degenerates Podcast on Google, and I found so many podcasts called that.
Huh.
And it wasn't until I just saw, like, 2 weeks ago, these chicks made another Degenerates Podcast. I was like, okay, I can't keep quiet about this. I'm gonna review all the other ones, because I don't have too much to say about this one because I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. And then when you like something, like, I've already said all the stuff that I like, and it's a lot harder to rant about stuff that you like than stuff that you don't like. Or the other way around.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to rant about, like, fucking something stupid than something amazing.
Yeah, well, it's not like it's kind of a stupid show, but that's kind of the point of it. It's just a fun show. They're not really trying to do much, and for what it is, it's good for what it's trying to do.
Yeah, I wonder what.
One thing I thought of, one criticism, is that I'm not sure where the show is going, or how long this idea can even go on for, because they're doing like
before liver failure.
They're doing 2 podcasts a week, and they're getting really drunk, and I don't know. There's going to be some drama between them, and they're because 2 of them are sisters, but then one of them is just their friend. And I don't see it lasting very long, just because of the premise. And like the last episode, they got so drunk that they had to cut so much out. It was down to a 15-minute episode.
Oh my god! How long are normal episodes?
And it was just it's usually like 45 minutes. And they got really drunk and they were drinking Fireball in that one, and they poured Fireball all over the table. And then they just started dancing with each other and shit. They weren't even talking, which is like, it's funny. I was laughing. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" But
is there video or no?
I don't know how long that'll last. Like, it's just kind of interesting. But like, once you watch one, you've watched all of them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like, how did you know they were dancing? Did you see them dance or no?
Oh yeah, they had video. It's a video. Yeah, they have video, and they're all like really pretty girls, and they barely wear any clothes, and that's one thing that will probably drive a lot of people to listen to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they know that as well.
Oh yeah, that's why they're doing it. They keep making references to it as well in the podcast.
Oh, okay. So they're like cam girls, but not.
Well, yeah, because they're not live streaming. They're editing a podcast.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just thinking about drinking, and I was like, man, I don't feel like drinking because it makes me stupid. I don't like being stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stupid enough as is. I don't need more stupid.
Well, alcohol's only for smart people who want to feel stupid sometimes, Other than that,
stupid people who want to be extra stupid.
Yeah, but that's just bad. Like, I don't think stupid people need to be more stupid, but sometimes you just want to switch up your perspective, And if you're smart, then drinking alcohol is a cool way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sure.
if you're stupid, then it's the exact same thing except worse, and it's not a change of perception at all.
I mean, mostly what alcohol does is just get rid of your inhibitions. It basically just makes you like not care about consequences.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it makes you stupid. I think it just makes you not give a shit. Because you
Yeah.
ask drunk people, like, what are the risks associated with this? It's like, oh, I fucking know, but I don't give a shit. I'll fucking do it anyways.
Give me my fucking car keys. Give me
Exactly.
back my car keys. I need to get home.
Oh no. I remember one of my teachers. He said like this one guy when people like typically when people drink they want to smoke
Yeah.
like cigarettes, but this one guy when he drank he just wanted to drive his car.
Yeah, I've heard of stuff like that too.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I
And
guess,
then
like, one of
they'll
those
always
things.
say like, "Oh, I drive better when I'm drunk."
Oh no, that's totally not true ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think alcohol also it not only does it you don't have any more inhibition, but you're very egocentric when
Mm,
you're on it too.
mm, yeah. Or the complete opposite. You just become completely, you know, worthless.
Oh yeah, that can happen too. It depends on
Yeah.
the night. It depends
Depends
how
on the
you're
night, depends on the
feeling.
person.
It depends how you're feeling before you drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Man, oh man.
Yeah, so like I said at the beginning of this review, it's a 10 out of 10. I said that right at the beginning. You don't even have to listen to the rest of the review. I think it's 10 out of 10. But if they keep making episodes, I'm going to have to keep putting that number down because I think it's going to get boring after a little
Hmm.
while. It does a good thing about it actually. It actually kind of made me feel like nostalgic because it just reminded me of going to parties when I was a few years ago, and
Going to
because they act
parties
exactly.
and just getting drunk and talking to your friends.
No, it reminded me of like drunk girls at parties, and it was kind of
Oh.
nostalgic just because I haven't seen drunk girls hang out in a long time, and
Hmm. I see that all the time here.
oh,
Just on the streets.
I don't live in a city. I live in a
Yeah.
town. Yeah.
Well, it's not that interesting to me. They're just drunk people who are loud and obnoxious. That's all they are.
Yeah.
It's really annoying, actually.
Okay, I'm gonna look. I think I've gone through all my notes. Yeah. And the most important part of that of my whole explanation was they had a random hammer, and it doesn't make sense with the canon of the rest of the show. They never had a hammer before, and then they're banging it on the table at one point. I don't know. I don't think it makes any
Hmm.
sense.
Maybe they did it in a garage living room hybrid place.
Maybe
Like, you know how
that would
there's
make
some places where
sense.
it's like there's a garage connected with the rest of the house?
Yeah, that actually makes sense. That
Yeah.
probably is where they were. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you've helped me understand the continuity of this podcast.
You're welcome. I am the lore master. Now all that's left is to explain Kim. Or Chim. Kim.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, what's your topic you brought in?
University. That's my topic
Oh yeah,
that I chose.
yeah. I wanted to
Definitely
ask
not
you
right
about
now.
that.
What?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. How's it going? University? Are you studying hard?
Yeah, studying super hard. I got some books that I read. I got some amazing classes. I got I have two research classes. One of which I do. I'm gonna be doing like brain scan analyses and like skin conducted stuff. We're gonna be
Oh,
replicating a study. It's gonna be awesome. So yeah, and for another class, we're gonna be fucking injecting rats with morphine, and then recording their behavior. Then after that, it's like an optional thing. We can come in and be like, hey, I want to see rats being killed and having their brains sliced. And then you can do it.
oh,
You just sign up for it.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that they're injecting the morphine into the rats, and then there's an optional thing where if you want to, you can come in and they'll give you any leftover morphine.
Hell yeah, dude. Just water that shit down with some
Yeah.
baby powder formula. Just, inject that shit. You got mixture of heroin right there. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I like it. I like it a lot. Ugh. But yeah.
And those are your only classes?
No, I have a philosophy class. I got to get in to be like, hey, I want to get a minor in philosophy because I can
That's
do
good.
that because I have all the classes necessary.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
are you how long are you planning to be in university?
Like a long time
Awesome.
for another what is it?
10 years?
No, not 10 years. Like 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty long.
that's a long time. But for most of that, I'll be able to work as like a TA or like for a company or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, which is pretty nice because in psychology, a lot of the people who are in psychology now are going to be retiring. So there's going to be a gap,
Well,
which is going to be really
there's a lot
nice.
of boomer psychologists.
I think so.
Ooh.
But then there's going to be like none. Well, there's going to be a limited amount of psychologists in my field. Because all the psychologists are fucking social psychologists, which is not even like a real study.
Social psychology is not a real study?
No, it's kind of dumb, in
Oh.
my personal opinion. I took like a social psych class, and all it was learning terms, and like it completely just disregards the individual, which is I think one of the most important parts in psychology as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But it just forgets that the individual is an actual thing. That's why I'm reading Jung because he actually recognizes that the individual is actually important.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like clinical psychology better and research psychology because that's fucking science and you can't get any more fucking amazing than science.
Science rules.
Science rules, dude. Bill Nye's awesome.
No, he is.
Or at
His
least he
old
was
show.
awesome.
His old show was awesome.
His old show, yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Before he sold out to the fucking man or woman, rather.
Uh, no, I
Poor
don't
Bill
know.
Nye.
I just I didn't like there was that Bill Nye animation about the ice cream, and they're all different
Okay.
flavors,
What?
and it's supposed to be like a metaphor for like sexuality and stuff.
Oh no.
But and like it's fine for yeah. There's a whole lot of different sexualities. You can be transgender, straight, gay, transgender, different types of that. You can mix them together however you want, and that's fine. I don't care. It's cool, but it was really weird the way that cartoon was, because like at the end the vanilla ice cream that's supposed to be like normal, which is also kind of offensive. And they it's all about like accepting of the different. The cartoon was supposed to be about accepting different sexualities, and at the end, they make the vanilla one be their sexuality, or like and I don't think that I don't know. I just didn't think that that was.
So the vanilla one is your sexuality, yours and mine, and everyone's.
Well, yeah.
Communist sexuality. It's not your sexuality; it's our sexuality.
Well,
I'll take that as a yes.
They all had different sexualities. And then, like, at the end, the ice cream all has an orgy, and they make the vanilla guy, who is not into any of that stuff, do a bunch of stuff he wasn't even that into, which I just thought was kind of weird if the point is accepting sexualities, and then they just changed the vanilla guy.
Oh, yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean by orgy?
Well, it was like...
It wasn't like an actual orgy.
It was like a metaphorical orgy. It was like what they were referring to in the cartoon.
Bill Nye has his fucking name on that? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It was from his newest show. I think, unless he's done a show since then. It was a few years ago. But my parents like Bill Nye, and I watched that episode with them.
Man, that's shitty. That's really dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it's targeted towards children.
No, his new show is targeted. It's family. It's not like a kid show like Bill Nye the Science Guy was.
If it's targeting family, it's also targeting children.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You can't even argue with that. It's just fact.
It's targeting children, and it's also targeting adults. It's just targeting everyone.
Shouldn't be doing that, man. Trying to brainwash people, dude. It's literal brainwashing.
Well, I do think it's good to be exposed to different sorts of arguments and stuff for things.
Oh, yeah.
Except the only problem
but not when
I
your
have...
brain is underdeveloped.
Yeah.
Like, if they were watching that with parents, then I think that'd be fine. But, it's not guaranteed that they're going to have a parent to be like, oh, yeah, that's, it's a one way to look at things. It's not true. It's not, like, automatically true.
Yeah. I think my big problem with that sort of thing is the parents might put their kid in an echo chamber, kind of, where they just... and then that's when it becomes brainwashing. I think it's up to the parent to decide if they're going to brainwash their kid or not. I don't think Bill Nye
I guess.
is
it's not, like, solely up to the parent, though. Like... It's not solely up to the parent, though. The kid actually does have a bit of choice.
Oh yeah,
it's actually really cool.
Yeah. If the kid goes and seeks it on his own without like the parents' knowledge, then yeah, I guess.
Yeah, especially since like when they start getting older, they might like reject their parents' ideas and stuff like that and form their own ones.
Yeah, that's actually natural. To happen. It's actually natural as like a society for one generation to reject the last generation's values. It's called a counterculture, I think.
Yeah. But then also there's certain constants. Yeah. Like I think in like Greco-Roman times, is that how you pronounce it? I don't fucking know. Greco-Roman? I don't fucking know. They were like, yeah, all these fucking kids are like having sex all the time, doing drugs and being assholes. And then now it's like the same thing.
Now it's like what?
Now it's the same. Still the same.
Yeah. That's something that I've noticed And I actually get annoyed when people say that, like, 100 years ago, kids were way nicer, and, I don't know, because I've read, like, some Stephen King books that were written, back in, like, It is set in the 50s, and, that's when Stephen King grew up, and the kids in that book are swearing all over the place. They're doing a whole bunch of crazy shit. It's just like kids today, basically. Pretty much the same thing. If anything, it's actually gotten a little less like it is, like it was. I think
Hmm.
the
I
kids
think,
the
yeah,
kids would just do it when the parents weren't around.
yeah, kind of like today. Except
Yeah.
we actually tell our parents a lot of stuff now. Now it's kind of like really weird because it's like it's not like incesty. Well, it's like the parents and children are like too close.
Yeah. I'm a lot of my friends would tell their parents everything. But I kind of learned pretty young not to tell my parents anything because they try to have like a conversation about it.
Yeah. Sometimes it is better to just learn things on your own.
Yeah, well, yeah, anytime that like I would say something to them that was like a little controversial or something, like then they'd sit me down and have a big talk about what it means and what my thoughts were on it, and I got really annoyed by that. I didn't want to. I just wanted to tell my parents stuff and not have to sit down and talk with them about
Yeah.
that sort of thing for like a half hour every time I wanted to tell them something.
Yeah. I really like the thing that my dad did. He didn't do this when I was like a kid, but as I like mentally matured, he would start having arguments with me, and I like that. I like that a lot.
That's cool. No, my
Yeah.
dad. I tried to have arguments with my dad, and then what he'd do was he'd just say he'd end up like ending it off pretty quick by just saying like, "Oh, you always have to be right" or whatever, and then I'm
Oh.
I don't know. I wasn't arguing because I think I'm right all the time. I am arguing because I want you to prove me wrong.
Mhm.
Yeah. Otherwise, what would
Mhm.
even be the point of
Exactly.
arguing if you're not willing to change your mind? Then there's no point
Well,
in
that's
arguing.
not how everyone views it, though.
I guess
Yeah,
so.
but that is a good view. That is a good viewpoint, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, this is the best viewpoint you can have.
Yeah, I could also
Like,
see, yeah, a point of arguing, sorry, like, it was, what I just said was kind of dumb, though, because another point of arguing would be to change someone else's mind. Even, like, if it's something that you are, like, firm on, I guess, because it's okay to be firm on stuff.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But, it's just, I try to go into all arguments with an open mind, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all anybody can ask of you in an argument. Because yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not like solid in anything you know, it's like okay, well, what the fuck do I know? It's like you're kind of
Yeah.
lost. You kind of need to have a few assumptions at
Mm-hmm.
least, based upon experience and possible fact.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, it's like, oh, why is being evil bad? Well, because yeah,
It's bad because it makes people feel bad.
yeah. Why is that bad though?
Well, because we're we got a whole bunch of people here. We're all living on this planet, and I feel like one of the most important things is that you shouldn't really hurt people for no reason because like you gotta. I don't know. I always put myself in other people's shoes, and then I think about what they would be going through, and then I think about, oh, what if that happened to me? And then it's like, oh, I really wouldn't like that. So that's why I try to be a good person, is because I don't like feeling bad, and I don't want anyone else to feel too bad.
Yeah, but like, who gives a shit what they feel, right?
Well, one reason why I don't think that's a good way to look at it is because if you don't treat people like well, then maybe if you're going through the same situation that you put them through, they won't help you, and it'll be a lot harder for you.
We are social creatures at the end of the day, and we really do gain a lot of benefit from helping each other.
Yeah, that's just how I look at it. Even if there is no such thing as good or evil, I know that it's a bonus to try to be good. It's a bonus for you. It's a bonus for the people around you.
I do not doubt the existence of good and evil. I am pretty dead set that it exists.
Mm.
Yeah. Especially because I read like a really good argument for it in the Gulag Archipelago. It's like, those who don't believe in evil, you're fucking naive and dumb. Because, and then he lists all the reasons why evil exists, which is like all the terrible suffering that he and other people had to endure in the gulags. And it's like, okay, yeah, I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty evil, to be like tied to a pole and rolled downstairs.
Oh yeah. Oh, worst. Have you ever seen the movie Silence?
No.
It's really good. It's got Andrew Garfield and the guy who played Kylo Ren in Star Wars.
Okay.
And they play these American priests who go to Japan in, I think it's the 1800s, and they're trying to spread Christianity around Japan. And although they've outlawed Christianity in Japan though, so they're kind of like on what they're doing is illegal, and they've got to do it like underground, and it's like based on real stuff. The story itself is fictional, but it's based on real things that used to happen.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a really awesome movie, but there's a lot around the middle of the movie. They get caught by the Japanese, and they're in jail for pretty much the rest of the movie. And what they do is they try to get all the people. They try to get the two priests to turn their back on God, basically, and one of them ends up dying, and then the other one ends up turning their back on God, and because they were like torturing people and stuff, and they were using a whole bunch of tactics to just wear these guys down to get them to like forsake God, basically. They symbolized it by, they had this like little stone of Jesus, and they wanted him to step on the Jesus tablet.
No, not the Jesus tablet. God. Heartless Japanese monsters.
Well, they were like killing people who weren't doing that and stuff. So stepping on the tablet was just a symbol of. And there's one guy who keeps stepping on the tablet, and then he keeps stepping on the tablet, and he keeps going back to being Christian. Like, he never actually stops being Christian. He just steps on the tablet so that he doesn't die.
Oh,
and
okay.
It kind of and then by the end of the movie, you're kind of wondering why the priests wouldn't have just stepped on it, because they can still believe in Christianity after they step on it, and then they won't have to. All these people won't be getting tortured over it. It just makes sense to just step on it and then go back to practicing Christianity instead of being locked up
Well,
in a prison.
it's the same thing with why didn't the Jews just not practice Judaism during World War II? It's like if they just didn't do that, then no Jew would have died. But unless they were like known beforehand. And
Well, I think that it was more of a like a race thing. I wasn't. It was like because he didn't like Jews, like Israeli people, or right it wasn't the religion itself. Although I'm pretty sure he didn't like that either, but I think it was like the race. So it wouldn't have mattered if they stopped, is what I think.
I guess.
Because the thing with Hitler was he wasn't giving them a chance to change. But the Japanese were trying to get people to be atheist. And so they weren't... they would kill, like, some people... The tactics were completely different than from what Hitler was doing. Hitler just wanted to wipe out a whole race, while the Japanese were trying to just get people to change to atheism.
I don't know. Probably some sort of symbol for, like, their steadfast faith.
Oh, yeah, that's...
They would want to.
Yeah, that's what it is, but,
Like, maybe that guy who, like, did, step on that tablet is, like, less faithful or something like that as a result.
I think that, because there's a lot of, like, symbolism and metaphor in that movie. It's really good, but I think that character is there just to show... I think they want you to think about, the sort of argument that I was talking about with why wouldn't these guys just step on it? Because the Japanese guy, like the leader, who's going after all the Christians, he even tells them, like, you don't even have to actually stop practicing Christianity. Just step on this stone tablet and we'll let you go.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like... that kind of reminds me of, like, baby steps. Like, you don't have to stop worshiping. You just have to desecrate this thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm imagining it is.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because nothing is, like, a complete instant thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, did you want to end it here?
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
So...
This has been the Degenerates podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, baby boys.
Well, see you around.
Yeah. For episode 14.
Yeah, episode 14 hype.
Okay. Till next time.